You know, some of us have actually been doing this for a while.
You just watched a series of clips in which the various legends from the 2019 hit battle royale Apex Legends were brutally murdered. Or did you? There are a lot of cases where the Apex Legends of the game's namesake are very, very clearly dead, and somehow come back in the next match completely fine. How? And actually, why? And what? Why does nobody die in Apex Legends? Apex is a game centered around a blood sport, a competition where 20 teams of 3 drop into a battle arena, the last team standing at the end taking the victory. Note the word I used there, blood sport. The term blood sport is derived from competitions of pitting animals against each other for entertainment, a very common one being cockfighting. Oh haha, very funny, calling me a cock. But I was surprised to see that the term blood sport isn't actually as narrowly defined nowadays. For example, here's the Merriam-Webster definition of a blood sport.
A sport or contest, such as hunting or cockfighting involving bloodshed.
This definition is backed up by the Wikipedia entry on blood sports, which labels sports like boxing, MMA, and jousting among the likes of bull baiting and alligator wrestling. Wait, is this just a tourism list of Florida? With this definition, we can theoretically say that the Apex games doesn't have to have anyone kill each other to still be called a blood sport. But that doesn't exactly change the fact that everyone gets shot.
Sometimes you lose, sometimes you're me.
You weren't worth the ammunition.
Pow! Right in the kisser.
Never forget the eyes of...
It's clear to me that there is something going on to keep these Apex Legends alive. A mystery that I want to find the best answer for, and I have come up with a few theories as to why. Today we're going to go through these theories and find out which one has the best chance of being the answer. And the first theory I wish to present centers around this thing. One of the novel design choices about Apex when it first launched in 2019 was the ability to respawn your teammates. It was even a big enough deal to put into the reveal trailer. What the hell is this thing? When you die in a game of Apex, oh wow, nice view. Your body falls to the ground and a box with your respawn banner replaces it. Your teammate can take the banner from the box and bring it to a respawn beacon. You then insert the banner into the beacon, which calls on a dropship to come onto the map and drop you back into the match.
But wait, if my body is there and I'm here, then am I... me?
Okay, before you have an existential crisis, let's present the first theory on why this works. Simulator. Claiming virtual reality, or more specifically virtual training or simulator, is a pretty common cop-out for shooter games to explain their multiplayer modes. Halo was a prime example of this during Halo 5 with its war games. Titanfall 2 also showcased something similar with the fully immersive VR used in both the campaign and in the multiplayer maps War Games and Glitch. So there is precedent for the Apex games to be a fully simulated experience, where the Legends compete in lifelike simulations. This easily explains the respawn mechanics, as the banners are just lines of code used to literally spawn in new teammates. It makes the bodies disappearing make sense, and most importantly, it explains why Apex Legends can get killed in the most creative way possible and come back into work next morning. It's a simple answer. It's an easy answer, and the one most players probably believe. It's also wrong. The first hit against this theory. Why do they own the maps? The Apex games doesn't need to physically possess the locations that the games compete on. But as shown in the Season 15 trailer, the Apex games clearly do purchase the maps. The Moon of Clio had its entire restoration process ended to make way for the new Broken Moon Arena. Olympus 2 only became an arena after the keys to the Flying City were taken from Ash. Not to mention that we have seen how the Apex games refurbishes these regions to be used for the competition. There's clearly something here. But hey, let's say that this is all performative. Maybe they are just purchasing the rights to use the region's likeness, and the refurbishing is made to make it more realistic to the audience. That, unfortunately, doesn't explain why this happens. I know you just thought to yourself, yeah, virtual reality can explain explosions. No, it can't, shut up. In Season 2, Crypto set off an EMP that destroyed this tower here. This is the repulsor, which prevents these guys from setting their giant stubby feet onto the island. When it broke, the Leviathans and flyers surrounding Kings Canyon flooded onto the island during the live match, requiring an evacuation from the arena. There's also the second explosion underneath Skulltown, where a Revenant factory was destroyed by Loba. There's also the third explosion on King's... okay, you get it, Casey gets blown up a lot. Olympus also had the Malta event, where the flying city was nearly dropped onto the real city of Malta, and now physically sits above it. We could also bring up the storms of Storm Point, wrecking the infrastructure and destroying the power grid of Suotamo in the process. All of these show the clear impact of events on the maps affecting the world around them. And while yes, you could say that they made every single one of those events up in VR to sell an audience, there is one singular, specific reason why this cannot be the case. Season 13. Newcastle's arrival into the Apex Games. A monster from the sea appears and attacks the Legends during a live match. They work together to defeat the beast and save the day, with the remains left on the beach to eventually become part of the arena as the downed beast. The loading screen tied to this event in the game specifically tells us,
rare meats, freshly slain gourmet. We've got another batch of Storm Point lobster fresh off the cargo ship. No shells, all flesh in pristine purple and green. Bon appetit.
This is irrefutable proof that the Down Beast event had to have been real, not VR, and that the Apex games being played before the beast attacked had to have been real as well.
Couldn't they have just faked the entire story to drum up interest in the new location?
Yeah, this could all still be virtual reality.
Doesn't really prove anything yet.
No, stop, you're all fired. The VR theory is easy because everything that can happen can merely be explained away as virtual theater. None of it really happened, they just want you to believe it did. But this theory, at the end of it all, is just so boring. It's like saying it was all a dream or the protagonist was in a coma for the entire thing. It just sucks the fun right out of the idea. There is more than enough here to see the games as real, and we can find a better answer than this. Let's move on to the next theory, and hopefully a more interesting one. This one is WWE? Look, you can take your airsoft match seriously, but at the end of the day, you still put your hands up and waddle off when you get shot. That could be what's going on in Apex. A giant airsoft match, played up like a wrestling show for the audience, with star wrestlers going up against each other every week in a somewhat serious, somewhat performative blood sport. This theory would tell us a few things. One, all the guns in the game are non-lethal. This is non-lethal. This is non-lethal. Yeah, even this one. The grenades too. 2. This would explain the maps being owned by the Apex games. The Season 2 trailer ending with an evacuation makes sense too, since the Legends are now in real danger from the animals. And notably in lore, the Legends didn't canonically compete on Kings Canyon again until Season 5. The Apex games moved onto World's Edge as the Leviathans were cleared out, and repairs made onto the original arena. If the games didn't care about keeping them safe, they wouldn't have done that, right? We got an interesting idea here, but now we gotta poke some holes in it, see how it holds up. The first thing that comes up for me with this idea is simply the respawns. How do they work? It was easy to explain in VR, but here we got a harder sell. Let's go through what needs to happen for this to work. First, when you are eliminated, you have to be vacated from the arena. Let's assume that the body disappearing is a legend being teleported out. No method of teleporting exists like that in Titanfall lore, only with phase shifting, but let's ignore that. They then place you on a dropship if your teammate picks up your banner, and sends the dropship out anytime your banner is called for respawn. All right, buddy, you're up. Ah! This is plausible. Does require a new technology, but with the likes of multiverses, time travel, and altar hanging around, it isn't impossible. There is one issue. Sure, we can say some of the things like the guns are non-lethal, but how safe is this? Even in non-lethality, there is a considerable injury and harm that can occur to a player in a live match. The fastest you can respawn a teammate in Apex is about 9 seconds, or about the same amount of time it took to read this line. Now, I'm not one to doubt the medical skills of futuristic sports doctors, but I feel like getting your neck snapped requires a bit longer than that to heal. Orbital strikes, a ring of fire, electrocution, a literal black hole. This is non-lethal? Let's not forget legends like Caustic are here specifically to test his killing gases on the legends, or Revenant being put in the games to let him kill in the arena instead of rampaging through Hammond robotics. There's no way they'd be competing here if it wasn't for real. There are way too many dangerous things in your average Apex match to believe they could come back within 10 seconds, let alone come back alive. Been thinking too narrowly here, too focused on the idea that the legends could survive. It's way too clear to me now that no matter how much I theorize, there's no getting around it. The legends are being killed out there. The answer doesn't come from how they are surviving, it's how they are coming back. And I don't have an idea of what it could be. There's clearly been permanent deaths in the Apex universe. Here's Forge being murked by Revenant. Revenant. Wait, is that? No, that can't. Huh. I have an idea. Simulacrum. Revenant. The legend introduced in Season 4 is a simulacrum assassin who has lived for hundreds of years through his replaceable bodies. Powered by the severed head of Caleb Cross, whom Revenant originated from. He is the only character in the game whose death is explained in the lore. Every time Revenant dies, a new body takes its place. And the story of Revenant is all about fighting for his chance to die. To take back control of his own life. A life he is forced to live again and again. Revenant is the only Apex legend who truly can die in the blood sport they all play. He is the only one that makes sense. But what if they all made sense? There's a way in which all of the legends can die, over and over, and come back. A way in which multiples of the same legends can compete against each other. A way where the Apex games can truly be answered. The Apex legends are all simulacrums. Okay, so I wrote in my script something dramatic I don't know for this part of the video, but I never prepared anything dramatic to put here, so... An Apex legend is killed in the game? Just replace them with a copy. Have a couple of each legend on hand, and you have enough for as much chaos as a battle royale needs. Every gun can be as deadly as you want it, every battle explosive and gruesome just the way the audience craves. The Apex legends being simulacrums covers everything. Every death is viable, every arena is genuine, all of the action is real. They can just and come back without a care. The simulacrum theory covers everything I've talked about. There's nothing that needs to be explained. Okay, except the two confirmed simulacrums in the game are Ash and Revenant. And of those, only Revenant has multiple bodies known. That's because the real brain of Caleb Cross is kept alive and separate, unlike Ash whose mind is inside of the chassis. So do simulacrums need to be set up like Caleb Cross to make this work? What happened to the original legends in that case? Sure, I could see Hammond Robotics wanting their competitors to sell their soul to them and become plugged in heads for entertainment. But I doubt legends like Loba, Crypto, or Horizon would ever agree to doing that. It also doesn't account for legends like Pathfinder. How can a Mervin become a simulacrum? On top of that, all simulacrums so far have been robotic. How do they make flesh and blood simulacrums then? We have seen that simulacrums can be fooled into believing they are alive, but if they are robotic, how do you fool the audience at the same time? Well, actually, if organic simulacrums with zero harm to the original mine exist, then why isn't every person in the world using them? How come Eduardo Silva comes to the Kill Code story in person and not use a simulacrum? Is he stupid? This simulacrum theory is, well, it's doable. It definitely answers the questions I started this video on, but it leaves me with more that I can't explain. And if I keep going, how many more questions will I have left before I'm satisfied? This question was never meant to be answered. When you empathize with Nathan Drake's story in Uncharted, you aren't supposed to ask about the lives of the several hundred people he murdered to get the treasure. And Pokemon doesn't want you to question the morality of 10-year-olds pitting animals against each other for sport. Unless these games seek to tackle the elephant in the room, their biggest holes are just swept to the side. And for the most part, you can ignore that big animal in the corner and still enjoy your time in the game. I don't think the question of how the Apex Legends survive will be leaving my mind anytime soon. But I had fun exploring a few ideas of what the answer could be. And maybe I'm not the only one who got a theory out of it. So I want to hear from you. How do you think the Apex Legends survived the games? Give me your best theories in the comments, and maybe we'll be able to bring this elephant into the fold. After all, we're just one more answer from... We're always just one more ant. We're always... Oh, come on!